Welcome to Wawasan Wire. Today we're talking about Chean Chung's response to concerns over cultural practices in Chinese primary schools. This really blew up, didn't it? It started with, well, quite a blunt fear being voiced. The idea that allowing alcohol service, even under specific rules, in Chinese primary school halls could somehow, I don't know, damage the moral character of future leaders.
Oh, absolutely. It hit the headlines fast. The push came from the United Malays National Organization youth chief, Akmal. He didn't just raise concerns, he went straight to the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim. The demand was clear: enforce a total liquor ban in these halls. And his reasoning was stark, designed to grab attention. He basically said, if we ignore this exemption, we risk raising drunkard leaders in the future.
Wow, that's framing it as a major moral crisis, not just a policy issue.
Exactly. It sets the stakes incredibly high.
So enter Chean Chung, the Peling Jaya member of parliament. He clearly saw how charged this was getting, and his response wasn't just a statement. He did something quite direct, didn't he? He invited Akmal himself.
He did. An open invitation. His message was essentially, let's stop shouting past each other. Come visit a school. Talk to us. Let's actually try to understand what's happening on the ground.
A bold move, really, trying to shift from, political theater to actual dialogue.
It is, because he's asking for facts over feelings. And his first point directly tackles that drunkard leader fear.
Right, let's get into that, because that's the core accusation, isn't it? Chean Chung basically says, hold on, look at the evidence. Think about the leaders we have today, across all fields: politics, business, education, arts. Many of them, he points out, were educated in these very schools.
Precisely. And are they known for lacking discipline or diligence or self-reliance? He argues the opposite. These individuals often exemplify the very values the national education philosophy promotes.
So the argument is the track record just doesn't support this fear. These schools have been operating for decades, producing successful people. This one specific activity, renting out a hall, is unlikely to suddenly undo all that.
Exactly, it seems. Well, a bit disconnected from the actual outcomes we see from these schools. The proof, as he suggests, is in the graduates.
Okay, so if it's not creating drunkard leaders, why is this exemption even a thing? This brings us to the second part of his argument, which is, frankly, about survival.
Yes, the tough financial reality. This is critical.
Yeah.
Chean Chung stresses this isn't about promoting drinking. It's about sustaining the school, period.
Because many of these Chinese primary schools face, let's say, significant funding challenges.
That's putting it mildly. They often operate with very limited government funding compared to national schools. The financial allocations they receive just aren't enough to cover everything needed for a modern learning environment.
And we're talking basic stuff here, right? Not luxuries. Things like building maintenance, maybe fixing roofs, updating old wiring, getting decent desks and chairs, or even just basic science equipment.
Absolutely. Essential things. Leaky roofs, outdated labs, basic infrastructure, things you need to just provide a decent, safe place for kids to learn.
So the schools have to find ways to make up that shortfall.
They do. And their main asset is often the school hall. So they rent it out, becomes a kind of community hub.
For what sort of events?
Community events, mostly. Things like wedding dinners, big fundraising galas for local charities, sometimes association meetings or celebrations. Events that need a large space.
And the alcohol exemption is important for attracting those kinds of bookings.
It can be crucial, yes.
Yeah.
Especially for things like wedding banquets or large celebratory dinners where serving alcohol is often a standard cultural expectation, which we can get into. Without that option, they lose a major source of revenue needed for those repairs and upgrades.
So it's a practical necessity. The ringgit earned from renting the hall goes directly back into fixing the leaky roof or buying those lab supplies.
That's the argument. It's plowed straight back into the school's operational budget, improving things for the students.
And Chean Chung also brought up the history of these schools, didn't he? How they were often built in the first place.
Yes, that's a really important point. Many weren't solely government projects. They were funded and built over years, sometimes decades, through donations from the local community, parents, alumni, local businesses.
So the community feels a sense of ownership.
A very strong sense.
Yeah.
They literally invested their own money and effort to build the place. So from that perspective, it seems perfectly reasonable for the school to allow that same community to rent the facility back for important social functions.
It makes sense. If the community built it, why shouldn't they be able to use it for, say, a wedding?
Exactly. And Chean Chung poses a direct question to the critics. Given the funding situation, if they can't rent out the hall this way, what's the alternative? How else are they supposed to cover these essential costs without controversy? It's a fair question.
Okay, so we have the financial pressure, the practical need, but there's another layer Chean Chung highlighted, the cultural one. He suggested the criticism misses a crucial cultural context.
That's right. He argues that viewing this purely through the lens of recreational drinking overlooks the deep, ritualistic significance alcohol can have in certain Chinese traditions.
Ritualistic significance, can you explain that difference? How is it different from just having drinks at a party?
It's about the purpose and the formality. In many traditional Chinese contexts, alcohol isn't just a beverage. It's often seen as an essential component of major life events and ceremonies. There's a saying that reflects this cultural view. No ritual is complete without wine. It's not necessarily about casual enjoyment. It's a symbolic element required for the rite itself.
So, like, for a traditional wedding banquet or maybe a major family celebration, having alcohol served isn't just optional, it's part of the expected structure of the event.
In many cases, yes, it goes way back. Historically, alcohol was used as a key offering in ancient sacrifices. It was seen as a way to communicate with ancestors, with deities, during really important moments. If you look at ancient texts about rites and governance, like the Zhu Li or Li Ji, wine is listed right alongside grain as a fundamental offering. It symbolized sincerity, respect, formality.
That really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It
Right.
moves it away from just being about potential intoxication and towards something symbolic, like an offering.
Precisely. These wine rituals, as they're sometimes called, are seen to affirm relationships between the families getting married, between the living and their ancestors, even between humanity and heaven. It embodies cultural values like respecting elders, honoring heritage, maintaining social harmony through proper ceremony.
So when these events happen in the school hall, maybe because it's the only suitable venue nearby, the presence of alcohol is tied into that cultural transmission.
That's the argument Chean Chung is making. It's not about promoting everyday drinking among students. These events happen outside school hours or community functions. It's about allowing the community to observe its own cultural practices, which have their own internal logic and constraints during significant life moments.
Okay, so it's formal, it's ritualistic, tied to specific events like weddings, festivals, memorials. It's framed as culturally necessary, not casual.
And understanding that context, both the financial need and the cultural background, is why Chean Chung is pushing so hard for dialogue, not just debate.
Right, back to the invitation. It wasn't just a general call for talks. He specifically asked Akmal, or anyone concerned, to actually go to a Chinese primary school in Selangor or KL to meet face-to-face with the school board, parents, teachers, to see the situation firsthand, hear their challenges directly.
Exactly. The strategy seems clear. Get the discussion out of the media echo chamber and onto the ground. Let people see the reality of running these schools, the efforts being made. He framed it as the only way to eliminate misunderstandings through communication and, crucially, to replace prejudice with dialogue. It forces a confrontation with the facts, not just fears.
It's a gamble, though. It requires the critics to actually engage in good faith.
It does. And Chean Chung attached a pretty serious warning to this call for dialogue. He cautioned against politics descending into just mutual blame casting. He used the striking phrase, ethnic hero drama.
Ethnic hero drama. What does that mean in this context?
It refers to politicians trying to score points by playing up the fears or grievances of one ethnic group, often by attacking the traditions or practices of another group. It might rally their base in the short term, make them seem like defenders of the community. But Chean Chung argues it's deeply damaging to national unity in the long run. It fosters division, not understanding. It's easy politics, perhaps, but bad governance.
So his bottom line is pretty clear. Policies affecting schools, especially touching on culture, need to be based on facts and reason, not on emotional reactions or labels or, frankly, misunderstandings.
Yes. And that dialogue between different communities and educational systems is essential if we want genuine mutual respect. Can't build respect on suspicion and accusation.
So there you have it, two very different viewpoints clashing. On one side, you have this potent fear voiced by the United Malay's National Organization youth chief about cultural influence potentially harming future generations. And on the other, Chean Chung's defense grounded in, well, the harsh realities of school funding and a specific, deeply rooted cultural tradition that he argues is misunderstood.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Especially about how policies get made in a diverse society like Malaysia. How often might cultural practices, which are perfectly normal and functional within their own context, get framed as a threat? Sometimes, maybe the real issue isn't the practice itself, but something more structural, like how schools are funded, or just a lack of shared understanding about different communities' histories and traditions. It's rarely simple.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.